Hi everyone, today we're going to look at how to easily store data. In the previous video, you saw how we can download data, collect data through scraping or through API. But how do we store that data? The easiest way to store data is using CSV, or comma separated file. And it's a very popular way to do it because everyone can do it. You have a text editor, you can open it, enter the item or the data you want to store, put a lot of commas between them to separate the individual items, and that's it. However, being the most popular, the easiest to store doesn't mean that it's the easiest to work with. Specifically, if you receive a CSV file, it may not be the easiest for you to extract the data that's stored in CSV. So why is that? So why is CSV not easy to work with? The main reason is because there are a lot of consideration, a lot of special cases that we actually need to consider. So in the simplest case where everything is nice and easy, so let's say you want to store information about a car, then you can store its year, you can store its brand, and so on, everything in one row. But there are also cases where it actually contains strings that you want to store that also contain a particular commas in it. Then what do? Well, since the comma is also a separator, well, usually you would put a quote, a double quote around the string, or a single quote if you like. But that doesn't solve all the problem because your string may also contain a quote. Single quote, double quote. Then what do? Then you do another kind of escaping where a double quote maybe need to be replaced with two double quotes. So actually there are quite a few of these cases like that, which makes the CSV not very easy to parse. So for that reason, often when a student asks me what you would recommend to store data, or the easiest, the simplest way, I would actually say CSV may not be the easiest. The best way is probably using an embedded database called SQLite. And I use it a lot in my research group. And the reason you might want to use SQLite over CSV is what I call a very self-contained way of storing data. You don't need to do parsing because everything is already stored in a table in SQLite. And also, you can actually have different tables. You can imagine each table would correspond to one CSV. It's very self-contained because each table also contains a schema. That means you know exactly what each row is, what data type is, and so on. And SQLite is actually one of the most popular embedded databases in the world. If you ever use any computer, any phone, you're already using multiple SQLite databases. The reason is that the whole database is actually one single file. So that means you can very easily share this file with anyone. Let's say you're working on a project. You say, I have a data set, maybe 1, 2 GB. You can just put the whole thing in one single file. The self-contained aspect is very attractive. And also it's cross-platform. So that means the same file that you've edited on Windows, it will also show up exactly the same on a Mac or Linux. And of course, because SQLite is also a database, so you can actually do query on it. You can figure out, you can find particular item in the data. So not just a gigantic CSV where a lot of searching can be hard. You can create indexes, you can do full text search, and so on. And another nice thing about SQLite is that because it's also an embedded database, so that's zero setup, we call it. So that means you don't need a server. You just run the database on your computer, and then you're good to go. So what we have looked at in this video is CSV, the simplest way to store data, and what's a shortcoming, and what I would recommend, which is SQLite, to help solve those problems.